Action.
Um, I just realized this is the Bluetooth thing off of the back of the desktop that JD put in the computer. What is this thing I'm playing with? And I forgot that, like, for some, I couldn't find. I couldn't find it. I just was too lazy to trail where my USB hub was at, so I just unplugged this on the top and put my webcam into it.
Well, I hope you weren't using anything with Bluetooth, Manuel.
Exactly. It just dawned on me. I'm like, oh shit, I probably should have just started unplugging. I thought it was the USB stick. I'm like, why is there a U? I know what this is now because I'm looking at it. But when I pulled it out, I thought it was the USB drive. I'm like, whatever's on there, I don't need right now. Anyway, Ultra Podcast Z, where only the best USB devices are stored, or only stored on the best USB devices. Um, I actually have as many as I still have, because obviously there's lots of A to J Lost Media. I have all A to J videos that have ever been compiled by me onto a external hard drive. It's a 2 terabyte one, and it's almost full. And I'm like, what do I do with this after that? I guess keep it. But
You see, Manuel, you get a 4 terabyte one. You transfer everything on the 2 onto that one, and just keep repeating, doubling the size every time.
exactly. I guess that's the exact answer. That's probably exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm pretty sure storage sizes have gone down in price. I think I
Yeah,
spent 100 for that too.
Flash
So
storage is dropping right now. You can get like a 2 terabyte M2 drive for barely over $100. That's a good one.
I want 2 terabyte. Wait, is that solid state? I'm not sure. I'm
Yeah,
not
that's
familiar
solid
with
state.
like. Okay. Anyways, guys, this is Ultra Podcast Z. This is the solid state podcast. I'm sure somebody already stole
Yeah,
that.
because I think someone took that already.
It's a solid.
We
state
are a
podcast.
solid state society.
It's funny because like a while ago, I was like, let's call this. Let's like have a new podcast. This is a UPZ replacement. Have a new podcast called like "Bring Me the Garbage." It would be just like to shoot the shit. But then somebody stole "Bring Me the Garbage" already, and not garbage, garbage. By the way, so someone specifically took garbage. Anyway, it's anime. Hey Wesley, holiday discount. No, holiday discount where on Patreon.
Well, say on a bunch of websites that are having sales for Memorial Day.
Memorial Day to me is always for the past 10 years, and even then a little before that, has always been defined. That's the word I'm looking for. I've always been defined by fanime, and that's where I'll be this weekend. Even when I didn't go during the pandemic, it was just a lot of like, oh, I miss fanime. Fun fact: Drink Talk Learn, the show where we did like drinking and did our presentations. That show evolved out of a series of streams that we were doing in 2020 at this time to like to replace fanime for us. Like we decided to do panel versions of not panel stream versions of our panels, and then I couldn't get everyone to do some of them, and then one of the nights where it just failed through, we did Drink Talk Learn for the first time. Oh, for terabyte hard drives, that could have been holiday discount this weekend. Okay, that actually makes a lot of sense. I actually probably will buy one. Only 2 years, 24 months.
I didn't realize we had TTS on. Or
Have you been subbing to? Have you been subbing to what's her face? Via A to J out of curiosity.
oh, Fangy.
Yeah.
I don't think I did it this month.
Oh, I'm gonna go raid her tomorrow when she's on stream. Not
Okay.
raid her, like, because you can't say that because that's the thing you actually do on Twitch.
Yeah.
But anyways, get the show on the road. It's anime. It's funny because I'm a little bit low key stressed about fanime, and old Manuel would have canceled this, but I'm like, nah, let's fucking do it. Me and JD got this because I couldn't really find a host, mainly because everyone's busy for whatever reason, and the people who aren't quite suited for this topic. Like if we were just talking, like if it was just anything, or if we were just forming something random, we could have someone else on. Honestly, we should have just auto anime with Hina, but I think Hina was busy because I think she's coming tonight or tomorrow. Down here. Anyway. What are we doing, JD?
We're talking anime movies today.
Are we really? Because I didn't know that.
I thought that's Yeah, I sworn that's what we were talking about. I thought that was on the schedule for last week, and we delayed that one. So
Yeah, we're doing anime movies. We have a lot to talk about. I have a lot to rant about, and it's gonna be fun. And then next week I will be gone for Fanime, and then it'll be ending Fanime, and I won't be here. And JD's gonna have a fun show without me.
yeah.
It's funny because that sounds like a really fun show I would want to be on. And it's the one
Oh
I'm
man,
not.
you were on that show. Don't worry.
Oh, you're gonna like just talk
Yeah,
shit.
it's another game show takeover.
Anyway. So yeah, anime movie. But before we get to anime movies, I'm gonna open with talking about some Tears of the Kingdom spoilers.
Manual.
So, in the latest Zelda game, Tears of the Kingdom, I'm just kidding. You're gonna mute me. Don't mute me. You already muted me, didn't you?
No, you're lucky.
Okay, but no, I'm just kidding. Whoever's having a lot of fun playing Tears of the Kingdom. When Breath of the Wild came out, and this will be my last aside before we get to anime movies. When Breath of the Wild came out, I literally, actually, let me back up. When I first started playing Breath of the Wild, which was about a year after it launched, but when I first started playing Breath of the Wild, and which is funny because I played it earlier on and I didn't get into it, I'm like, this is the worst Zelda game ever. Then I played it again, and I liked it. I still think it's a bad Zelda game, but I love it as a game. Does that make sense? Is that
Yes, man. We went over this
hot take?
on the Zelda episode.
So anyway, I lost an entire month of my life to that game. Basically, I had to have my roommate hide it from me, and I kind of feel like Tears of the Kingdom is kind of getting that way. I mean, I haven't lost nearly that much time, but I really did not have the time to be playing it as much as I do. But here we are. Anyways, anime movies.
Yeah.
Um, what do you consider an anime movie, JD? And that's not a stupid question because I have something to say about it before we go anywhere.
That is it. Well, I guess we're gonna have to dissect what it means to be anime and what it means to be a movie.
So, there's two reasons why I bring this up, and I'm not gonna leave. Now, JD and I had this huge argument. Well, not argument. It's not even an argument because I don't think you were actually arguing with me. Uh, I saw an anime movie recently that I feel was not a movie, but that made me remember that there was a time in the anime fandom, like when I was a youngin, when like Manga Entertainment, Geneon, Pioneer, all the really old school companies, they used to cut together OVAs, or not even cut together. They would just stitch them together and call them movies. Do you remember that?
I don't think I was specifically there for that, but I know it happened. And it's weird that now, like, the opposite will happen where companies will cut movies into, like, 4 episodes.
We're back.
Yeah, I believe we're back.
Okay, we're back. Sorry about that.
So yeah, cutting up movies and turning them into OVAs, or I guess just 4 episodes for Crunchyroll now, or online streaming in general. I know
I've never
that.
heard of that. But
Yeah, or sometimes they get turned into entire seasons if they're a series of movies, like with the new Legend of the Galactic Heroes to Noe Tesa.
no, because like I was talking about Macross. I was talking about before you went away. I was talking about Macross Plus because Macross Plus was a series of 4 OVAs, 4 like half-hour episodes, and they cut those together into a movie. But unlike what some other movies have done, the movie version did have new scenes. It took some stuff out. It was basically a recut. It took out maybe like 5 or 7 minutes, but then it added like 12. So it's kind of weird like that. But and it really depends on what you like. It also reordered some scenes. So like cool. That one's okay. But then shit like I remember back in the day, especially the fighting games. There was Fatal Fury the movie, Art of Fighting the movie. The Street Fighter one was the movie, but Art of Fighting and the other one, those were just like 60-minute OVAs that whatever company was releasing them just put them out as a movie. And
I
I don't know if that's
mean,
dishonest or not.
how long does something have to be a movie?
When I was younger, this is not me making shit up, by the way. When I was younger, into film stuff, the current metric amongst most people is that feature length is 60 minutes, by the way. It used to be 45, believe it or not. Like the industry standard was considered 45 like ages ago. Like that would be, oh, that was considered a feature. But over 60 minutes considered feature length now. But some of these OVAs would not even would barely touch that time. Maybe if the company was shady, they would put like they would just not touch the credits, and then they would put their own credits afterwards, like translated, like
Yeah.
into Roman characters, and that would add on 5 more minutes. And sometimes I see that like that's. But you see that again. You see that in other movies. Like I've watched many a B movie in my life that is fighting for that time. Like where it's like 68 minutes and 12 of it's fluff. But I don't know. But like beyond that, um, there's other weird shit. Like, how do I say this? Um, it's funny. It's funny because you mentioned the Crunchyroll thing, but I remember also when I watched the Street Fighter anime, like Street Fighter the TV one. Um, when I had it on DVD, so I'm not sure if this existed on tape, but on DVD you would put it in, and it would say like you put in a disc, it'd say play movie. And I'd be like, what? So you play it, and you would see the opening, of the anime, and then it would just play all the way to the end. They would cut out every opening in between. They would cut out the eye catchers or whatever the fuck they're called. And the only reason I noticed this was because a couple times they were not so keen about editing them all out, and they would leave like a couple frames in, or you'd hear like the music sting of like one of the eye catchers in the middle, and he'd be like, "Wait, he left a bit of it in." I don't
Yeah.
know.
I know I don't know if it's a bunch of series, but I know that there's definitely One Piece DVDs that also do that. It's like they take all the episodes and they just cut out all the like intermediary endings and openings except for the first one and the last one. So you just basically watch as one long episode, or I guess one long movie.
I don't know if this is I don't know if this is like a
It's
bad
an
thing to say
option,
because
not the default, though.
oh, see that's different. But I don't know if I actually do not like watching openings every time, especially if the opening sucks. Um, and I've never really been a fan of watching endings. I know it's a weird thing to say, but it's, like literally most shows I'm watching, the ending is the first thing I'll skip just
But
because it's like I want to get to the next one.
but Manuel, sometimes there are endings that are just like the best part of the show, or at least not maybe not the best part, but like much better than the opening.
Have you ever watched High School of the Dead? Because High School of the
Yes,
Dead,
and I
every
know it has a
freaking
different one like every episode.
yes.
I think Chainsaw Man did that too.
Oh, by the way, rest in peace. Did you hear that Mount Kurosaki passed away like recentish,
No, I did
like
not.
earlier this year? Yeah, she did all the music for that show, and well, I'm sure she did other shit too, but she did all the music for that show. And I saw her at Anime Expo a few years back. But yeah, she passed away a couple months ago. Anyway, it just popped in my head. I remember I was gonna mention that on a UPZ, and I guess I just forgot all about it. So I brought up High School of the Dead again, which is funny because we brought it up during one of our episodes recently. All again. Oh man, and didn't the creator of that show pass away? But that was like
One
way
of
back.
the creators of the manga, I think it was, I want to say the writer.
Yeah, because I think that's why the show ended on a cliffhanger.
No, he died
Is
years
because
after the show. It's why we'll probably never
oh,
get a continuation of the manga or the anime.
we're definitely not getting one now. But I thought he died more towards his creation. Anyway,
Probably
no
halfway
big.
between here and the original airing of the anime.
Ninja Scroll is a because Wesley mentioned Ninja Scroll. Ninja Scroll is a movie I like. Um, but how do I say this? I'm sure it's good. But like, there was a time in my life when a lot of the shit I would watch was specifically because I wanted something more like mature and violent. And I'm not saying Ninja Scroll is only that, but that was like younger, edgier Manuel's one of his favorites. And I just don't know if it still is. And I don't mean like as in like and I mean that literally because I have not seen it like in 15 years. So I'm not sure if that's still one of my favorites. Have you seen that one recently?
No, I haven't seen that at all, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I still have more of my rant about movies, but I'm gonna save that for a bit longer. I want to get to JD. JD, what's your penultimate favorite anime movie before we go any further?
That is a good question. There are two that are in like they're running for it, and first one would definitely be Princess Mononoke. I think it's the best of the Ghibli films.
You want to hear my hot take?
You hate it?
I'm not a fan of most Ghibli movies.
How original,
And I
Manual?
don't and I don't think they're bad. Don't get me wrong. I do not think they're bad. So this isn't going to be Manuel saying, "Oh, they're." I won't even say they're overrated. I won't even say that. I just think they exist.
Yeah, they definitely
I,
exist, Manual.
and I guess that could say that I'm trying to say they're overrated. But when you say something's overrated in like in most online settings, that means you don't like it. Does that make you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
for the most part.
But I do think it's overrated in that they they're put on a pedestal. I don't think is all that. I'm not a big fan of the animation in general because a lot of it's like first of all the art style is like just not my cup of tea. Period. Usually everyone has like these like squarish heads and like very non-detailed faces. I don't know how to describe it. Like I don't know the art words, but like there's a look. There's clearly a look because people replicate it all the time. Um, so I'm just like, I'm not a fan of that, and I'm also not a huge fan of like it looks almost rotoscoped. I'm not sure if they are rotoscoped animated, but like it has that like Disney look to it. Like when Disney usually is well, old school was rotoscoped. It has that old school Disney look where everything looks like it has way too many in between frames. You know what I mean?
No,
Are you a fan of that style? I'm just not a fan of that style,
I
and that
honestly don't.
definitely is the term.
I'm honestly trying. I'm honestly trying to think of that, and I honestly don't see it. But yeah, I think it's like their kind of big, epic film in a way.
Just
And
here talking shit.
yeah, I love seeing it in theater, like just getting everything on the screen, all the sound going.
I do
Like,
like Spirited Away, and I do like Princess Mononoke. I don't know. I'm just like,
mhm.
they're good. I'm crapping on JD's movie. Keep going about hot
Yeah,
take.
Manuel, I don't seem to be able to like anything without you just saying overrated.
Keep going on how it's good though. I'll shut up. Say some more.
Yeah, and then I guess I like the idea of finding the balance between, I guess, civilization and nature, and Ashitaka's mission to see with eyes unclouded by hate, and how that kind of cycle begets itself, and how it's a tough thing to stop.
Um, this isn't so. I don't want to go back to the gripes, but like, have you ever heard of the? And this is not actually our topic because it has to do with a lot of Princess Mononoke. Have you ever heard of the term fifteening?
No, I don't. No, I don't think I've heard of that
Okay,
term.
so in the US, we have ratings for movies. Obviously, there's like PG, PG-13, R. But in places, well, specifically Great Britain, their rating system has like I'm not sure if this is 13, but their equivalent to what they consider PG-13, like where it could have curse words and some nudity, is called 15. Um, so there was this process, and I'm pretty sure that there's probably a similar term in the US. I just don't know what the fuck it is. But there's a term called 15ing in anime back in the day, and this is such a boomer anime fan term. I'm probably the first, you probably never hear it from somebody who's not like 50. But people used to talk about all the time when I was a kid. But basically, what they would do is they take a show. The idea was that the market for all anime was for the 15-year-olds, the people who could buy a 15 rated movie. And what that means is if it's too adult, you have to censor it down to 15. But if it's too kiddie and could be a G rated movie otherwise, you have to bring it up to 15. And because you're not going to animate new shit, the way you bring it up to 15 is you add a fuck or you add a shit or you add like, some stupid curse words. And Princess Mononoke didn't do a ton of that, but very famously, and I think if I'm not mistaken, somebody famous worked on the
Yeah, it was
fucking
Neil
English
Gaiman.
script. Yes. And he did it. There's this line, it's infamous, where like the boy, I can't remember the fucking boy's name.
Ashitaka.
He's in the stoop and he's all like, this tastes like donkey piss.
Yeah, and
And
in Japanese, it's just this tastes like water.
Yes, and that line was infamous, and everybody was all over Neil Gaiman. And like, there's other lines, but that's the one that pops right in my head because this was a legit controversy when like I was really young. This was a legit thing, and I think it's true. I think and it's not a mistranslation issue because his defense was, oh, localization versus trans, and I get that, but the distributor, and this is before Disney had the rights, the distributor, well, maybe Disney did have them here. I don't think so though, but this is like, whoever the fuck was distributing it, this was clearly a 15ing issue. This is
Oh,
clearly like, oh,
I just always thought that was trying to uh, translate how much of an insult to the cook it would be from Japanese, where
no, I mean
like
that's
telling
the
him,
defense.
yeah, there's no flavor in your soup
You could say
would
that,
still
and
be a
that's what it
criticism, but
means.
it wouldn't bite as much in English. While telling him this tastes like donkey piss is definitely an insult to the chef in English.
We should make a podcast called Donkey. This tastes like donkey piss.
No,
And
you're
then
doing that by
it'll all
yourself if
be
you're doing
about
that, Manual.
But no, that's my big takeaway from Princess Mononoke. I remember before I even saw it, that really bothered me. I'm like, this one too. And mind you, it's a bad example because they didn't really go for it that high. Like, but it's also the biggest example because most of the times this happened, it would happen to Devilman. Um,
Oh, you
when
need
it,
to 15 Devilman?
well, they kept adding all the fucks and everything. Have you seen Devilman? It has a very
No,
infamous
I'm just going off Crybaby. It's like if it kept like half of that, I think it would hit like a 15 rating.
Well, part of the problem is that like 15 also involves censoring things. Like I said once again, like so like, and this is pretty much a very UK specific thing, but it happened here too. Like I can't think of a good example, but like every so often that you get a kids show and they would purposely try to make it like, like for an older audience. And sometimes that just happens naturally. Like I always point out that Fish and the North Star is meant for children. Like literally, kids are meant to watch that, and like nothing's wrong with that if you're an adult and you enjoy it. But that was meant for like 5-year-olds to be like, I want to be like Kenshiro. Anyways, getting off topic. I just wanted to
Mm-hmm.
throw that out there that like age ratings and things are weird.
Mm-hmm.
15 rating in America had the 16. Yeah. Oh, we saw it all the time with manga.
Okay, Manual, but this is
We got
about movies for right now.
But that's a rate. That's a story for another day. Because like, there's times when they would rate shit like high, and then they would wrap it in plastic purposely because they knew it would sell.
Yeah.
Anyways.
And there's also talk about how ratings are skewed and biased towards certain things,
Yeah.
especially in America when it comes to sexuality and stuff. But yeah, let's move on. Oh, my other like competitor favorite would definitely be Perfect Blue.
Oh,
And
Perfect Blue is amazing.
yeah, like I
See, we
say,
agree.
wow, we actually agree for once. Yeah. That is a movie that I've seen a couple times, and I feel like each time I understand it more, yet somehow paradoxically understand it less. Like knowing what's really going on, I can see that. It's like, okay, I'm still like taken aback by like some of the things that cut from what you think is either reality or a dream into, oh yeah, no, that's actually reality. It's just
So
seen through a different way.
Perfect Blue is an interesting one because Perfect Blue, first of all, Satoshi Kon, rest in peace, also is was an amazing
Yes.
filmmaker. But uh, Perfect Blue is interesting because Perfect Blue is an adaptation, and that's not unusual because a lot of animes adapted, a lot of things are adapted, but it's an adaptation, and it's an adaptation of a novel. But what I find most interesting is if you read the novel, it's a totally different story. Like, uh, there is a psychological stuff, but without this isn't a spoiler for the novel, I guess. But like basically, the psychological stuff isn't really there. They just like there's a killer. There's an actual killer. The killer's like fucking Jason Voorhees, in that he literally just won't die. And everything's different. Like the idol girl, she's not she's a solo idol, and she's not part of the group Cham, and like it's just other little tidbits. But the movie's great. One thing that pisses me off about that movie about dubs is did you know that they fucked up the last line of
No,
the
you
dub?
didn't. It's a myth, Manual.
No, it's not a myth. They fucked it up.
No, they didn't.
No, they fucked it up. It wasn't supposed to be her voice.
It is supposed to be her voice. I will put it right here in the edit.
Do it if we're like, because I'm gonna come into the comments of this on YouTube, and I'm gonna fight you in the comments and show you my own evidence because no, it is not a myth. It's still a great movie. Otherwise, I do remember the dub not being that good. There's a scene, and it's a very graphic scene in general, and I won't describe it in detail, but there's a scene where like she's in a movie and it's a very violent scene that she's in, and the dude who's doing the violence is all like, "Are you okay?" Like whispering to her. Do you remember that scene?
Yes, I
It's
remember
like
that scene very intensely, Manuel.
okay, it's a very intense scene, but the voice actor in the English dub, the way he says that line is so like bad voice acting. It takes you out the movie. It's like, has this dude never taken acting class? And I'm not sure if that has to do with who dubbed it, because I'm pretty sure like this is before you kind of had like the regulars. But then again, I feel like if somebody dubbed it today, it would have like all these cutesy anime voices in it, and it would just annoy me even more. Um, but I don't know.
Manuel, have you watched a dub of anything in like the last 10 years?
Apparently, I only watch cutesy things, and all the cutesy voices, the anime voices, annoy me. Anyway, I still love Perfect Blue. I'm gonna stop ragging on it because I actually do like it. Everyone should go watch it if you haven't. Um, is there a live action adaptation? I couldn't remember. I think I remember hearing about that.
No, I think the closest we got was, what's his
Oh,
name?
what's his,
Fincher
ripped it off
securing the
of him?
rights just so he could do those snes in, was it Requiem for a Dream and Black
Yeah.
Swan? Yeah, the closest
What's
we'll
funny?
get is probably Black Swan.
What's funny is there's a video, an interview where Toshi Kon did, where he was describing the scene from Requiem from a Dream. They ripped off the bathtub scene, like shot for shot, and like, don't get me wrong, I do get it that it's a ripoff, but I also feel like, okay,
Manuel,
Black
it's
Swan.
called an homage.
Thank you, and I actually agree with you because Black Swan does a bit more because it borrows plot, but that scene from Requiem from a Dream, that was not in any way from Perfect Blue except in composition, and that's an homage. Like every so often, I remember so many movies where like after Evil Dead came out would do like that extreme. I don't know if you've seen the original Evil Dead. It would do the extreme like POV evil camera thing. Um, I can't think of any other examples off the top of my head. After Halloween came out, a lot of movies would do that. You know, the killer POV kind of thing. You know, and then the mask comes on and all that bullshit. So it's like it's an homage, just like Psycho, for example, like the showers. Like, come on, like I just thought it was really funny that in the interview. He legit like I don't know if he already. I don't know if the interview was prearranged. Maybe you seen the interview. He has like a folder. He has like little. He has like examples to explain it, and I'm like, this dude was holding a grudge. This dude was not gonna let that slide. He's like, he ripped off Perfect Blue, and I'm upset by it. And I'm gonna tell everyone. Is Little Nemo considered? Yes, Little Nemo is considered anime.
I mean, that was one of the first things that Hayao Miyazaki worked on, even though
Yeah,
he
that's
is
what
not very proud of it.
I liked it. Um, it, I liked it a lot when I was younger.
Yeah, for those that don't know, Little Nemo Adventures at Slumberland is an anime film based on I want to say it's a European comic strip. Belgian is what I want to say, but I don't think it might be German or French.
but we are kind of deviating a lot. Like, what's considered an anime? Because like, do you consider the Hobbit movie anime? Wasn't that animated by like? I know it's animated by a Japanese studio. I can't remember which one, like the precursor to which one, but yeah. Or The Last Unicorn. Is that anime? Shit like
Good
that.
question, Manuel. Let's talk something else.
So the Hobbit movie. I actually like the Hobbit movie. Fun fact: this is my only story about the Hobbit movie. This is not. This is. I know this is a distraction, but like, if you ever, one of the big criticisms with Peter Jackson's Hobbit trilogy was that he made it too like serious and adult. But what's funny is the cartoon kind of did that in the same way. Because at the end of the cartoon movie, everything's like normal, but then the Battle of Five Armies happens, and then for those who don't, spoiler if you never read The Hobbit, only Thorin dies, and Philly and Killy die defending him because they're related. Like Gandalf says this explicitly. Like they died defending him because like, oh, they're related on his mother's side. And then Bjorn comes out. Bjorn, is that his name? The bear dude comes out and gets his body. I guess he assumes he leaves Philly and Killy there to die, but he gets Thorne's body and like takes it away so the wargs don't eat it. And that's all that of the main characters that die in the book. But when the fucking cartoon happened, and when Bilbo wakes up, fucking Gandalf's all like, Thorin has fallen, Philly and Killy, Glowin and Owen, and Bombor will soon fall. It was he names all these names. I'll never forget. I think it was Bombor, but he does whoever the fuck the last guy is. He says will soon follow. Like that fucker is stabbed, his stomach is open, and he's dying somewhere on the field. Like he names like 6 people who die. Anyways, that was an aside. Let's move on. Have you ever
Okay.
seen the movie?
No, I have not.
What? Anyway, you're not a real Tolkien fan.
Yeah. Did I ever claim to be Manuel?
Anyway, it's also animated by Japanese. You're not a real fan of animation. I'm over here. I've seen more animated movies than you.
You want to compare Manuel?
No, I'm just kidding. One of my favorites, though, and I will say this right now, one of my favorite animated movies, and it's kind of a 2-for-1, are the 2 Macross Frontier movies. I probably should have looked up what they were called. One was called The Songstress or something like that. Hold on, Macross Frontier. But they're basically a retelling of the Macross Frontier anime.
Mm-hmm. So the recap movies, essentially.
Let me finish. But they not only changed the plot around, but they literally changed the ending. Like characters who die in the show don't die.
Okay, so they're the Code Geass recap movies.
I guess they're kind of more akin to like, I guess they're still recap movies, but they feel more akin to like a more succinct version of what like the Evangelion ones try to do, where they tell a very similar story, but very differently. As a matter of fact, the whole thing's different because that just dawned on me. Like the main villain in the TV show, she's not a villain in the movies. Like,
okay, so more in line with the Evangelion movies, but I think Ava started off telling the same story, then realized maybe partway through 2 that it was definitely going off in its own direction.
Well, for the record, the similar thing happens with the movies. By the way, they're called The False Songstress is the first one, and the second one's called Wings of Farewell. It's funny because very famously, they showed both at Anime Expo one year. And it was the same year that Main and Megumi, I can't remember her last name, the people.
Hayashibara?
And I think that's her name. They did a concert there. But very famously, these movies are not legal to watch in the US because of Harmony Gold and the Robotech franchise. So if you want to watch them, you're gonna have to be a pirate.
Well, maybe that'll change. Didn't they strike some deal for distribution of the series?
For Macross for the original,
just the original series, not for.
Yeah, but I not to get too in the weeds here, but I think that was also just a way for them to secure more rights to Macross, like to get the movie moving, which they've been talking about that live action movie for like 20 years. Not even exaggerating about that, but about 20 years. Also, it is not a Robotech movie. It is literally a Macross movie because it's only telling the Macross part of Robotech. Anyways, speaking of Macross, another favorite movie of mine is Do You Remember Love? Have you ever seen that one?
No, Manuel, I have barely seen anything at Macross.
Do You Remember Love is one of the best movies of all time, period. Animated or otherwise.
Isn't that also a movie in universe, technically?
Thank you. It is. And that's the reason I kind of brought it up too, because in the TV show Macross Frontier,
Posture check.
My back cracked. Taro is little new. Oh, sorry, reading.
You did that already, Manuel.
Yeah, posture check. So anyway, my back. But in the TV show, I don't know if they're filming the movie, but at some point it's discussed that the movie is happening. Do You Remember Love? Either they're watching it, kind of sworn that someone's like filming it and they're in it. Doesn't matter, but the movie does exist in the universe. It exists, and that's why it's a weirdly different retelling of the original Macross thing. And honestly, I prefer it over Macross, Super Dimensional Force Macross, because there's a lot of filler in that first show. There's a lot of nonsense. Also, even though both the show and the movie end with these big climactic battles that have song, the song sucks in Macross. But the movie has Do You Remember Love? The Mari Iijima song. which has one of the weirdest melodies ever, but it's a great song. And watch that scene on YouTube if you don't want to find the movie, because the movie also is not available because of Harmony Gold. Um, but fun fact, I think they did release a cut version called Clash of the Bionids or some shit like that. I'm not making that title up. They called it Clash of the Bio something. Um, and they cut it up and added new shit, but it's super hard to find. Yeah, you have to pirate that too. But anyways, the Do You Remember Love scene is so amazing because she's singing. There's this whole concert in space that's like, gonna like decide the fate of humanity, and then you're seeing like people getting fucking massacred. Like there's a scene where like this happy love song's playing, and this dude gets his head like cut off, and it's flying, and there's blood everywhere. Fucking great. It's fucking great. You should see it, JD. I can't believe you never seen it. Next movie. What's another movie you want to talk about?
Okay, well, let me bring up my list.
Talk about a couple. Let's just do this.
Okay. Can we talk about the films of Mamoru Hosoda?
I have not seen one that I can't remember, but I do know that name. Is that the guy, the Your Name guy?
No, that's Shinkai.
Oh shit! No, I do know the Hosoda name.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's
the
Boy and the
guy.
Beast, Summer Wars, Mirai, Bell.
Okay, I have seen. Is Summer Wars the Digimon one? That's
Yes.
a question, but is it? Okay, I see. I have seen that one then. But people say Summer Wars, and I'm like, Digimon?
Yes, it's the one that's essentially a remake of the first Digimon movie, or at least what it was in America. I think it's the second one in Japan.
So I have seen Summer Wars for the record.
Okay, have you actually seen Summer Wars, or have you seen the Digimon movie?
Oh, it came out about 6 years ago, right? 2014-ish.
I want to say 10 years ago, but yeah.
I mean, well, 10 years. 2014 is actually 10 years ago. I can't math.
Okay.
But yeah, I've seen it. Okay, once again, only because like my then girlfriend, like I think she liked Digimon. I don't remember if she was getting into it because like of her sister or some shit. But I've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't my interest, but I did watch it. And by the way, I mean, I went to a place to watch it. I'm sure it was a theater.
Mm-hmm.
It might have been a convention. I don't remember anymore. Anyways, keep going.
Yeah, well, I think all of his films are great. I especially like how he explores like a different kind of like family or relationship in his movies. Like Summer Wars is almost like the entire family. Then you have Wolf Children, which is about a mother and her children. Boy and the Beast, about a father and his children. Mirai, which is about an older brother and a younger sister. I had a really good time watching that with my mother because, like, after we got out, like she was just talking about my relationship with my younger sister, and that had we been in that, but the situation reversed, I would have been dead.
That sounds terrible. I've never seen this movie, but is it a movie that involves death?
No,
Like, yeah, maybe.
it's
Oh, okay.
okay. So there's this young boy. His sister Mirai is newly born, and his like family has put out the was it Princess Day, Girls Day, like whole shrine,
Yeah.
and then you have to put it away, or it will like on the right day. Otherwise, it will like push back the day she gets married by like a decade or something, or some amount of years for each day it's out.
Oh yeah.
And so it's basically he gets lost, and now a future version of her is like helping guide him home so that he can make sure all that gets put away.
Oh.
And just like save him and the family. It is a really weird thing to kind of describe because other parts of it are just kind of like vignettes with him seemingly traveling through time to meet other family members. Like he meets his grandpa in World War, like post-war era, and like they're working on motorcycles and stuff. And it could all just be entirely in his head, but to a young kid, there's not much difference between what's real and what they imagine. And then obviously his most recent one was Belle, which was kind of about a child and a parent who's recently passed away, which once again came out 2 weeks after I lost my mother. So hit me like a ton of bricks.
Funny because like I want to see that movie one day, but like first of all, like I'm not a at various points I've had options to watch it in theaters, even for free, like, because like press shit was happening, like
Yeah.
not even to anything
Thanks,
that big, just to
Manuel.
go see it. But like, and I was like, I don't want to go see it anyway. But the bigger thing is that first it was laziness, but after a while, I just don't want to see it because like both you and Molly go on about like how affecting that, like not affecting how moving the movie was to both of you because like the timing of its release. I just feel like I don't want to see it because of that. Does that make sense?
I guess so, but yeah, just early or late 2021, early 2022 was not a good time for either of us, or for A to J, I guess.
Yeah, it's for I was going through my own fuck shit. I didn't have a family. I thankfully didn't have a family member who passed away around that time. At least not that I know of. But yeah, we were all going through some fuck shit. It was a dark time. It was a dark time. Let's move on from that.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what he does next. I don't think he's announced anything. I'm just really
Yeah,
excited.
that Bell just came out not that long ago, so
Yeah, it came out last year. It came out last year in
yeah, like
America, and then late 2021, I think, in Japan.
that's I wonder if Molly's gonna cosplay that again at Fanime. I have not seen her full cosplay it because she brought it to AX last year. And when she showed up to like put it on, she put it on the hotel, well, or hotel room. I forgot you were there too.
I
She
wasn't in
showed
the
up to
room
put
when she put it on, though. I met her
or
like coming out of the hotel in the costume. It was just a weird coincidence of timing.
she had forgotten the the back part, or she forgot some part of it. And it wasn't until she was putting it all on that she was like, "Oh, it's in the car." Then she stopped and she's like, "No, it's at home." And I was like, "Ah, shit." I
Yeah,
forgot which part. I think it was because I think she's like branches or some shit in the back.
yeah, she has like a flower crown.
I think that's the part that she was missing.
I have a
She's
picture of it. I will see if I can find it.
But anyway, yeah, maybe I'll watch it. I just feel
Oh, you know,
also
Manuel,
if it's a
maybe
sad,
I'll just force you to watch it and as revenge for last year.
it's, we'll watch an actual good anime movie than
It'll
fucking
definitely
Full
take
Metal
less
Jacket.
time than Full Metal Jacket.
Also, is it a sad movie? And that's a stupid question to ask, but is it actually legitimately sad movie? Because like as I've gotten older, I've just been a sucker for like sad movies.
Yeah,
Like
I know what you mean, Manuel.
I'll just be sitting there and I'll be fucking watching the cheesiest like um I, it's funny because like y- y- when you're watching a bad horror movie or a bad B movie, and there's this cliche like when there's somebody taking off their clothes, and you're all like, "Not for this, not for this." Like if you're gonna like do that in your career, do it in a good movie. So the equivalent to me is like I'll be watching the cheesiest, worst Lifetime ish TV show drama movie like with horrible acting, and like it'll get to like, oh, so and so is passing away, and I'll be like, I'm like not for this, Manuel, not this movie did not earn that. Like it did not earn that. Like don't you
I
do it, don't you do it.
I can definitely see that. I feel like I don't know if I've seen a lot sadder movies, or some of them just relate to me more as I get older.
Yeah,
But I've
yeah,
definitely found myself bawling my eyes out at a lot more movies than I thought. Like I talked about The Boy and the Beast. I think that was like one of the last things I saw when I was in grad school. Like it was the
yeah.
last week of classes, and the last week I could check anything out from the RT Anime Club library, and I was just. I think it's just something about parental relationships,
Yeah.
and just like how the struggle to keep it up and be a good parent just really hit me hard.
I can't. I can't remember a recent memory like what's a good one. I remember I was watching a lot of Christmas movies. Like I watched a ton of Christmas movies at Christmas last year. It was like my thing to watch a new one every day, and there was some really bad ones. And like just cheesy shit would happen. It's like, oh my mom really does love me, or like I'm actually doing this to protect. Shit like that would happen. But like the worst shit, and I'd be like, like not for this, not for this. You can't do first if you aren't even chatting, Wesley. Shut up.
He is chatting.
It's funny because I'm like trying to fake cry and I'm like really crying.
Okay, Manuel, your turn for a movie or movies.
Anyway,
You want to talk
uh,
Shinkai?
I'm not a huge fan of. Okay, let me phrase that. I'm not a. Uh, I'm not gonna say what you thought I was gonna say. I'm not a huge fan of being a fan of directors. If that's a, and I mean this in general. Um, that's across the board. And this is not really a controversial take. I just actually this part's a controversial take. I've always been of the mind where like a director isn't necessarily the most important person in a project, in my opinion.
No, I think that is a very valid opinion
And
on
don't get me,
filmmaking, like the anti-auteur uh, school of
yeah,
thought.
and don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they're not an important part. It's just that they don't. Then actually, in a lot of cases, they're definitely not, and they're not definitely not always. So I've never been one to like associate a director with their work. I associate writers with their work, which is a good thing to say in right now, by the way.
Yeah.
Support the writer strike. But like in my head, I'll know. Oh, so and so wrote that movie, wrote the screenplay. Shit like that. Shit
Well,
like that.
from my
Um,
understanding, at least in Hollywood, having a writing credit doesn't mean a lot of what you wrote ended
oh,
up on screen sometimes.
exactly. I was gonna say because sometimes you, so, and I know this personally because like when I was doing the more shit for Trauma, there were some times during the editing where and mind you, like I never edited anything cool, but there'd be times where this would come up and the horror stories near the editors would be all like, oh yeah, like there'd be times where like nothing, pretty much the script was out the window. When you get a script. The way Trauma would do it was like if there was a rewrite, they'd put like, oh, today's pages are pink. You put so tear out page 12, 13, and 14, but they might not match anymore. So page 12 is now 3 pages and they're all pink to tell the difference. And by the end of the movie, it'd be a fucking rainbow. Like, just like like everything that got rewritten. But yeah, so that's not necessarily true, but
Yeah,
sometimes there.
I just group them like that because it's an easy way to group them and kind of
My point,
see
my, yeah, my
the
point to
arc.
saying that is I tend to not notice when it's a movie's directed by the same person. Except when it's like blown in my face, thrown in my face a lot, which Shinkai is. But
Well, I mean, after he made Your Name, he just was kind of going to have his name on every film he ever touched. In the same way that Miyazaki's name is kind of advertised, even when he's not the director.
dude, that's the fucking Tim Burton effect right there. Like we were talking about the the Nightmare Before Christmas thing. Where it's all like, I did not know that until like 2 years ago. Whenever it was, not even that long ago. Whenever I told you about it, that
Mm-hmm.
was when I found out. Anyway, I was the first one to be. Oh, you were the first one to be here. Anyway, but moving on for Shinkai, like you can talk about him if you want. I didn't. I've never really seen some of his movies. I've seen Your Name recent-ish, and it's good. It's a movie.
That's my thoughts on it too.
The one I want to talk about the most, and this is my big ragging one, but I wanted to bring it up before I forget because I meant to bring it up way earlier and I already forgot. Is the Monica movies just saw recently?
Okay,
Um,
don't spoil Rebellion for me. I still haven't seen it.
oh, that one's okay. I like that one, but that's a good point. And they are the definition of useless movies. I've never in my life have heard of a movie marketed as its own thing, but there's nothing new about it. And I know there's a new song. Fuck you, I don't care. But like, with the exception of maybe two, but there's definitely one new song. It does not make it new. There is nothing new about it. The animation is there's no new scenes. Show me the scene. Nobody online can show it to me. I'm too lazy to sync it left to right, different screens. But I tried. I tried to, I'm like, oh, is this new? And no, it exists in the TV show. There were no new scenes. If anything, they take things out, which depending on how you view that, it's good or bad. But it literally reuses the TV show, and nobody online is talking about that, and that blows my mind. Am
Uh,
I the only one who's noticed?
I think it was kind of looked over just because they're recap movies, Manual, and they came out like a year and a half after the original movie, after the original series.
What other recap movies do this?
Yeah, but how many of them come out a year and a half after the original series?
But you get what I mean, though. Like I thought that the fucking Macross Frontier movies were recap movies, but as far as I know, and there might be some, but as far as I know, not a single frame of animation was taken from the TV show. The same for Do You Remember Love? The same for fucking Um,
Okay, but
Australian and
Manuel, once
German.
again, how long did those come out after the original series?
Well, yeah, but actually, do you remember Love came out really close after Macross Maine? But still, like, why release it then? That blows my
Because
mind. Why would nobody talk?
my understanding is that Japan doesn't really do reruns for series,
Oh yeah,
and that
for
it
the
was
record,
basically just there to build up, or for people who like caught on late to watch the whole thing before Rebellion came out, which is what a lot of recap movies are for. Like if a new season is coming out or a new movie.
technically Rebellion is due, and I don't. It's funny because we're doing the Magical Girl show. Show. What is the show? We're doing the Magical Girl panel in a couple days actually at Fanime, and I watched it thinking I needed to know it, but without spoiling anything, if Madoka itself, as in the TV show, is meant to be an anti magical girl show almost, then fucking the third movie is like even further removed from anything magical girl. It's actually kind of it doesn't belong in the panel. It does not belong in the panel that so I watched it for nothing. Fun fact: I don't know who the fuck thought calling Maho Shoujo Monaco Magica, um, it, translating that to Puella Magi Monaco Magica, which by the way is not English, but translating that for the English version. Who did that? Do you know that's a typo?
Uh, I think so. It's supposed to be something in Latin or something like that, right? Or is it
Yeah, and
Greek?
but
Yeah,
like
Manuel. Sorry, I don't speak Latin. I wasn't there during the heyday of the Roman Empire like you were.
but it basically means it means an old man, not a magical girl. Like they misspelled, but I don't know whose decision that was. For all I know, it's fucking something on the Japanese side, but I don't think so because like. And then why change it at all? Why not just call it magical girl? I think that's why, because they wanted to be like, oh, we're so, or not magical girl, even though it's in the title. I just think that's funny that they
Either
tried
that
to
or
be
just
all
to,
cool.
kind of 15 the title.
Yeah,
Just to make sure that people didn't go into it thinking it was going to be like a bit more lighthearted fare.
but I think that's kind of the allure to it too. I think that's why they called it that in the Japanese, which I love. Part of me wants to say it's stupid American decisions, but I don't know it is. But I'm gonna go
Manuel,
ahead and
when
say
has
it
ever
anyways.
knowing the truth stopped you from spouting something?
I'm gonna say it anyway. Stupid American decisions. Fuck you, man. I'm just like I'm gonna shut up. But yeah, I just thought that was really funny. Uh, a movie you want to talk about? Don't watch the movies, by the way. That's my takeaway. Just watch the TV show. You get more content, and it's short. It's 13 episodes, or I think
Yeah.
it might be 12.
We've already kind of, well, you've maybe talked more about this, especially with regards to Macross and Madoka just now, but movies that come out of big franchises, have you seen a lot of them?
Yes, that's actually most of what I've seen.
Okay, that
I
aren't
don't know.
Macross?
Yeah. Oh no, I've seen the most. I've seen Inuyasha movies. I watched fucking Film Red. I've seen a couple DBZ ones here and there scattered. I've seen a ton of the Pokemon ones. Um, I think I've seen a Case Closed.
Which one? I
Uh,
saw, I've seen like the first six, and then I saw, I want to
I
say, is it
definitely did not.
Zero the Enforcer at Anime Expo 2019?
Trying to think on top of my head.
Because Case Close is my favorite anime.
The
And
Conan, you mean?
call it what you want, Manuel, it's the same thing.
Case Closed.
Yeah, and my favorite of the movies that I've seen is Phantom of Baker Street, the one where they're basically trapped in a virtual reality game.
When that one come out?
It would have been
That sounds.
6 years in, so early 2000s. It
That,
might have been. It was
yeah,
probably released around
that's the one.
2010 in the U.S.
I was gonna say like the video game one.
Yeah, the one
I
where
think that's the one.
they're in Victorian London virtual reality game.
Okay, that's the one I definitely seen, by the way.
Yeah,
The only reason I remember it so much because like I saw it a long time ago, by the way. But I remember there's a fucking, and this is a stupid reason I remembered it, is because there's a Scooby Doo plot. I mean, Scooby Doo plot. There's a Scooby Doo movie where they also go in a VR game. It's totally different.
Cyber
But I
Chase.
do remember. Yeah, I do remember. I do remember we were watching it like. By we, I mean me and my then girlfriend years ago. A different then girlfriend from the first one, but me and my then girlfriend were watching it years ago. I was like, this reminds me of that one movie I saw. I know. Like, I mean, at the time I was watching the Cyber Chase, like whenever I watched it, it was like 10 years before I'd watched the Case Closed one ish.
Hmm.
Anyways,
Yeah. So
yes, yeah, kind
basic
of a
gist of that movie: Conan and his friends get trapped in a virtual reality game. They're like there to see the premiere of it, and they get into play, which has been, I guess, modified by the young genius creator who has been dead for a while. So he's like consciously in there, or his consciousness is in the game or whatever. And basically, to get out, they have to solve the Jack the Ripper murders. Obviously, or a heavily fictionalized version of it.
it's a very bloody movie. No, just kidding.
Yeah, it's not, actually, and then a lot of the other movies are also really good. Is it number two? I can't remember if it's number 2 or 3 that had the misfortune of coming out right around 2000 and featuring 2 towers getting bombed.
Oh no, that sounds that's
Yeah,
unfortunate.
yeah. About as unfortunate as is it the Super Mario Brothers movie that has like something weird going on with the Twin Towers in it?
Oh my god. Oh, you're right. Because it shows them all. Anyway.
Yeah. I like all of them. I know is it the 13th Target. I can't remember if that's the original one or the first movie or the second movie. Had to be edited really heavily because so much of the target order depends on Japanese like names having numbers in them or just like titles, because it's going up through like a deck of cards, or it's going through a deck of cards. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 10, Ace, King, Jack, and then one. I guess one for Ace, which would be Shinichi, I believe.
What other big franchise movies that were you thinking? Because I
One
could go
Piece.
on.
Actually, I've
I mean,
seen
I've only seen Film Red.
Film Gold is also really good. Just kind of imagine them staging. I think it originally starts as a heist and then turns into basically an overthrow of Pirate Vegas.
Are all the movies so disconnected from the series?
Yes, Manuel. A lot
I
of
mean, they're
like
not
franchise
completely
movies are disconnected from the series, just
I
because
mean,
they kind of have their own audience of people who just go to see the movies. So like I know the Conan movies have bits of continuity between them, especially like I think it's the Time Bomb Skyscraper or Countdown to Heaven. That's the one I'm thinking of. Like has some reference to a previous movie in it. But no,
I
like
remember.
the One Piece movies are basically entirely distinct from the franchise. You just need to know the basics going in there. Though Strong
I
World, I
remember
believe, is technically canon. It's really hard to figure out where it actually fits in canon, but it apparently happened.
I remember like there's some movies they try to insert. Like I remember when the Cowboy Bebop movie came out, they're like, "Oh, this specifically goes between these 2 episodes." And spoiler alert, there's probably a reason if you watch the ending to that show why they had to put that in somewhere.
Well, yeah, Manuel, it's a highly rated 20-year-old show, or 20
Oh,
plus year old show now. Actually,
Spike's
that the
dead.
crew kind of breaks up towards the end is kind of why it has to be inserted between, I think, 22 and 23.
I think it's exactly where
Because it
exactly where.
also like the end of the Cowboy Roundup show. Oh, Gunsmokers, or is that what it's called?
Yeah, I remember that there's that movie. There's what other movies have I seen? I'm just
Badlands
surprised.
Rumble for Trigun.
I remember I watched that Pikachu movie. I mean Pikachu. Well, it basically was Pikachu, but I watched the Pokemon I Choose You, which is basically the reboot movie. Um, did you watch that one?
No, so,
That's pretty.
I am really behind the Pokemon movies. I've seen, I think I've only seen the first 3, and like one of the black and white movies. I didn't see the second movie to go with it.
What's the Mewtwo line that everyone quotes? Victim, a circumstance of your birth, or whatever the fuck
Yeah,
what it is. And it's always like, oh, what philosopher said that? No, it was Mewtwo.
honestly, no. My favorite of like the dub Pokemon lines is from 2000, and it's just like when they recite the prophecy and realize that Ash means Ash Ketchum. I was like, I really wish my mom had named me Bob.
Bob Ketchum. What the fuck was I gonna say? I forgot what it was. Oh, so anyways, the Pikachu. I mean, I keep calling it that. There's a reason I call it that. So the I Choose You movie. That one's infamous because Pikachu talks. Like says words. Uh, and I don't remember what it says, but it has like it basically, and I'm not saying this to like make a joke. I mean this for real. It looks like they have a very like it looks like they're having a touching romantic scene, like as if like Inuyasha and Kagome are fighting and they're kind of like both going to die and they have like a moment, like that kind of scene. Like I can't think of another good example. And they both say something and power each other up, and they that's the scene. But it's Ash and Pikachu, and it looks so wrong. And Pikachu talks, and people are like, and it's kind of implied that Ash is imagining it. We don't know. And like there's reactions for it, like where like theaters have like blown up when like they hear Pikachu talk. And when I heard it, I thought it was a joke. I thought people were exaggerating. That like, no, dude, it looks like they're about to like make out. It looks like something out of someone's like deranged hentai. And it does. No, because they're like laying down next to each other. It's like, and I don't remember what Pikachu says. I keep wanting to say like it's like Ash, I love you, basically. And then, and it was like what? And they give her, well, because Pikachu I think is voiced by a girl in Japan,
Yeah.
but they have a girls, and I'm sure it's just her saying the line as a human, but like they have a female voice in the dub as well, and it's just like what the hell? It's like
Ah.
what's going on here?
No,
It
sorry,
just
I know,
feels
I know
wrong.
the Japanese voice actress's name because she does a whole lot of other cute mascot characters too. Like she's Chopper in One Piece, Morgana
Shit.
in Persona 5. Like, she just has, like, her bank account's taken care of by, is it like Ikue Otani or
No,
something like that?
you know what or what they say, because I'm who knows. I guess Ash's Pikachu is canonically has to be a male because of the tail, like whatever. But whatever. But you know what Pikachu says?
What?
I found it. Pikachu's line is like, "I always want to be with you." That's literally what Pikachu says. So yeah,
Yeah, maybe,
it seems
Manuel,
like.
maybe you should go and do it with the dirty mind. But then again, I don't think your mind works any other way.
Does anyone go to Pokemon without a dirty mind to some degree? Or did I just out myself way too
I
much?
think you did, Manuel.
You are not gonna tell me that whoever the fuck designed Meowscarada was not like was not thinking they are gonna put some fucking crazy Rule 34 shit to this thing. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, but Manuel, you're the one who was just arguing like 30 minutes ago that this stuff is meant for 5-year-olds.
Anyway, you gotta appeal to everyone because Pokemon's a giant, the biggest franchise of anything. But I forgot what we were talking about. Pokemon
Franchise
games. Who the
movies.
fuck cares? Oh,
So yeah, I saw
yeah.
the first three, and then saw one of the black and white movies. I couldn't even tell you which one it was now. All I remember is that I think J. Michael Tatum's in it, or in the dub.
Well, I remember back in the day, Viz, because like I have this friend of mine who like was kind of like bouncing between like companies, like PR person, and when he worked for Viz, he used to send us all like us being A to J, all like the review copy things. And they were physical back in those days, so like I would get like I got the DVD to I Choose You, or maybe it was Blu-ray, it doesn't matter. And I remember I got this One Piece book, this like art book that was so cool and legit. And then like I just gave it to a friend, and I'm like, I probably should have done that.
And I was just gonna ask if I could have it.
Well, I mean, I would have gave it to you, I guess. And it would have made more sense to give it to you. I literally just gave it to a random friend who said they liked One Piece, like briefly, like I like One Piece, and I'm like, here you go. They gave me this to review, and like, all I remember was that at the end there was this part where like they were the artist was going on and on about boobs, and I just remember I was like, oh, so this is intentional. And apparently they had like, oh yeah, like that like when they were a kid, whoever the fuck did the art, it may have been the One Piece creator, I don't know
Oda,
who the fuck created One Piece.
Eiichiro Oda.
And they were going on about like some Dragon Ball comparisons, and they were, I guess they're big. I mean, who isn't a big Dragon Ball fan? Like in Japan, if you're a
Yeah, I'd
manga and
say
anime
like
of a certain age.
that whole wave of Shonen Jump, like the big three,
Yeah.
was all like, "Hey, we enjoyed Dragon Ball. Let's kind of write our own like take on that." And I'm sure Toriyama was like, "Hey, I really enjoyed this previous series. Why don't I write something like that?" Like it'll probably goes on until you get to Tezuka, and it was like, I really like these duck comics. Why don't I draw something like that?
Man, I got so much to talk. I'm gonna save this for another thing, but like Osamu Tezuka has really created everything because when I was doing the Magical Girl panel, I discovered this one Magical Girl series that Tezuka worked on that basically invented fan service. And I mean that literally. He invented fan service. Everything that you think might have been new, he invented. Like the dude falling into their crotch and shit like that. Like this, he did that in like the late '60s. It's insane. Anyway,
Hmm.
that's for another day though.
Yeah. So if
Movies.
yeah,
Oh, say some more.
yeah. We didn't really touch on any of the classics, did we?
Like Ghost in the Shell or Akira or like
Those are literally the first two I have on there. So
yeah, those, it's funny because like when I was talking about Madoka, I'm like, oh shit, we didn't bring up like the giant ones. Those two are the obvious go tos. When I was young, I remember like Beyond, and they kind of fell into the exact same camp, so it was perfect for me. But when I was young, there was kind of a checklist of things you had to watch to become a true anime fan,
no
and
gatekeeping
those
manual.
two were on. I mean, if you think gatekeeping was bad now, imagine when it was a much smaller thing and everyone was a lot older than you. Like, so like and older than me. Like there was a point when I was the youngin.
Wait, there are people who are also older than time.
Fuck you. But I always talk like it's funny because like I guess I kind of become what I hate, but like but that's everyone. Everyone always thinks their time was the best, you know. Like, oh, you didn't have to get your things fan subbed out of the back of a magazine and pay $50 for a bad tape, you know, that kind of shit. But yeah, Ghost in the Shell. Um, I'll be real with you. I don't remember the first Ghost in the Shell that well. Like it exists.
Hmm.
I liked it at one point. I remember Innocence a bit more, which is the sequel, which came out more around the time when like I was getting into anime. And I think there's a standalone Complex movie. I've never seen that.
I believe
But
it's actually
Akira.
Solid State Society, like I mentioned at the start of this episode.
Oh, did you? I didn't even.
It was a joke because we were talking about solid state drives.
Oh, do you like the Akira movie? Like I think it's okay.
Yeah,
Akira.
I really like it. It's been a while since I last saw it, but it was definitely one of those movies that took me a couple watchings to get through. I have this thing. I don't know if it's like my blood sugar level kind of like makes me a bit drowsy, and if I'm a bit drowsy while watching something, I will be a whole lot more negative about it. But if I can just keep like a peak like focus and stuff, I will generally enjoy it more.
That's my, um, Aki- Akira was the first movie that when I eventually read the manga, and it was also one of the first manga I ever read like through. Like, as in, like I had all the
Hmm.
volumes and sat down and read the whole thing kind of in one sitting and not just piecemeal. Um, that I was like, damn, this is a bad adaptation.
Well, maybe we should blame the director for that. Who directed that movie? Oh wait, it was the guy who wrote the manga.
Was it really?
Yes,
I just
Otomo
saw the
directed the
report.
movie.
Why the fuck did he change everything?
Probably because he realized he had to fit it into a movie.
It's funny because in the movie, um, the concept, and maybe this is the point of the movie, and it's lost on me. But like the concept of Akira is a very like intangible thing, for lack of a better term. But no, Akira exists in the manga. He becomes like the ruler of Japan, and like post-apocalyptic shit happens.
Well,
And
the movie only covers like the first two volumes, doesn't it?
yeah, and Tetsuo doesn't die. He becomes Akira's like right hand man. Spoiler
Uh,
alert for the comics, by the way.
well, manga.
Oh, manga, yeah. None of this happens in the movie, so
Hmm.
watch that. And I mean, I told you that Tetsuo dies, but fun fact: I talked about this in my body horror panel that I did with Rose because like um you lose a lot of things in translation sometimes, and one of them is the name Tetsuo.
Yeah,
Like
is it a reference to Tetsuo the Iron Man or something like that? Or
they're not, but they're both referencing the same thing. They're both referencing the fact that like it's this word that has to do with like metal. And a lot of times they'll use that name when it's somebody who's going through like a body horror-ish transformation.
well,
So like
wouldn't that also just probably referencing back to the movie or the one I mentioned?
no, the name means steel.
Yeah.
And like apparently uh how do I say that? There's some connotation there or some shit like that. And it just means like there's some I think that the fact of Steel, the way Steel is made, is like this idea of transformation, like
Hmm.
in the name that I'm just not getting. My point is, it's always whenever you meet a character in Tetsuo in something, you know damn well they're gonna go through some fly bullshit, and by fly bullshit, I mean they're gonna become something fucking freakish and David Cronenberg esque. So just like they're not long for this world,
Okay, Manuel.
and it's funny.
Sorry,
Oh,
keep
we're
going.
wrapping this up.
No,
Oh,
keep
that's
going. Actually, we were off for a bit, so we've got a bit more time.
oh, Akira's the poster child, by the way, and I talked about this before of the movie that keeps getting redubbed. I hate that. That's just that's all.
Don't think it's
What
been dubbed in like 10,
three
15
times.
years. Like they did
It's dubbed
the
three times.
one with Johnny Young Bosch, and then I don't think they've done one since then.
One I watched, I don't think it was the first one. The one I watched doesn't exist anymore. like uh, uh it's mildly nostalgic to me, and it's not the one with Johnny Young Bosch, which is
Yeah.
homie of mine. So it's kind of sad that so I'm not talking shit, Johnny, but it's like uh you're not the one I remember though.
Well, Manuel, if you want to
So
talk, like I think the most dubs is one of the Lupin the Third movies,
oh
just because it got redubbed multiple times as like rights issues and like I think planes got different dubs or whatever, or
some
and
of
just
the Ghibli
international
movies had the
versions.
same issue. Some of the Ghibli movies had similar issues.
Mhm.
Uh, I don't think it was. I don't think it was ever dubbed by him. But very famously, my homie and mentor, Lloyd Kaufman, was the very first person to attempt to distribute Totoro. Um, but then like he'll tell the story a lot better than I do. I want to interview him one day and talk about just the Japanese connection. Just a ton of them. He worked with Kona Guy, Sergeant Kabuki Man, all this bullshit. But and Totoro, like he can tell it very greatly. Like he had a deal, and like they whoever the fuck ended up distributing, maybe it was Disney back then. I don't know if it was Disney that early on, but like somebody went behind his back, paid them more money, and they're like, "Oh, here's your money back, and yeah, I guess you could release it in some theaters." And like I think he had the home video rights. That's why the first thing was released by Fox or someone like that. Like not by like
I want to say it
by
was like
itself.
Miramax or,
Yeah,
but I can't remember if that's always been a Disney's like
it has been, but like
sub brand or.
there is a rare VHS, and what the first theatrical run were both done like through. I mean, it's not through Troma's name because like you can't just put Troma on that.
Yeah,
But it was done by like
there's some connotations with that brand name.
exactly. But it was Lloyd Kaufman and like so some shell people. But anyways, that's just my thing. But by the way, did you know that My Neighbor Totoro and Grave of the Fireflies released
Came out on the same day, yeah.
fucking day?
Yeah. It was
That's
supposed to be that way for I think
crazy.
The Wind Rises and The Tale of Princess Kaguya too. They were supposed to release on the same day, but I think Kaguya got delayed.
Which one of those movies came first, do you think? Because that matters.
Yeah, it really
And
does.
like, if
I want to say it was probably Totoro that came first, which meant people left the the place in tears because Grave of the Fireflies is definitely one of the saddest Ghibli movies.
dude, that movie's terrible, and I don't mean terrible in a bad way. I mean like
It will wreck you.
great movie. Yes, like that earned it. That movie, I'm not gonna be like not for this. That was like nah, this one got it. This one got it.
Yeah, that one nearly had me in tears in a public showing of it.
Yeah.
I think the only Ghibli movie that's like had me crying full on was Whisper of the Heart, but that's because I was watching it privately and it hit the self-worth issues right at the right time for me to just like start bawling.
I should watch those movies back to back. I think that's what I should get that. I should get that summer '88 or '89 or whatever year they came out. Like get that feel going. That's fucked up. That's a fucked up double feature, and I mean that because that just tears those emotions. Anyway,
Wait, I think I have both those movies, so maybe we can do that double feature at AX.
I used to love Nausicaa, but not Nausicaa. Is that even how you say that? But not Nausicaa, the movie. I used to like Warriors of the Wind.
Okay, Manuel, is there
Because,
a bad anime adaptation you don't like?
oh, because I said Warriors of the Wind.
Yes.
Do you even know what that was? Yeah.
Yes, I know what that one is.
There was a video store over my house that had that, and it was around the same time I rented the Devil Hunter Yoko thing I mentioned ages ago and some other shit like that. But I watched Warriors of the Wind, and I liked that cut. It was good. I liked it. And I remember like when I watched Nausicaa for real, like first of all, they try to pretend like Natsuko's not the main character because ooh, girl, we don't need no
Hmm.
girls here. So it was recut like fuck, and they got rid of a ton of it. But the music I think was better in Warriors of the Wind. I liked the dub sounded better than the fucking real one, which I think had Hollywood level actors, like in the fucking real one, like Patrick Stewart, I think was in the fucking Disney dub, but like um I don't know, like I guess okay, let me rephrase this. I don't think Nausicaa is bad. I just prefer Wars to Win for nostalgia reasons, and I don't think it's a bad adaptation of it.
I think you're alone on that
Actually, I'm
one,
pretty.
Manuel.
Yeah, I was gonna say like,
You know the story about when Princess Mononoke was coming out, right?
oh, wasn't it the whole thing that they sent him a sword where he's all like no
Yeah,
cuts?
it's a fake. Yeah, they brought a fake samurai sword with like no cuts written on it or like engraved in it.
Yeah, but yeah, because the Warriors of the Wind, which is I liked it. Like, what was wrong with it? And
You just
okay,
described parts of what
okay,
was wrong with it. They cut it up. They tried to pretend the main character wasn't the main character because they thought a woman wouldn't sell as a lead.
I also was a huge fan of Card Captors, the US version. That was until very recently, that was the only way I experienced Card Captor Sakura. That was it.
You should have fixed that earlier,
And
but like I was a fan of that when I was 10, but like going back and reading the original manga and watching the original series was a whole lot better.
oh my
Don't.
god, everyone's gay. And I don't mean in a
I
bad way.
mean,
I mean
that's
like
just
literally
clamp,
everyone's gay.
Manual.
Everyone's gay in that thing. Like I'm like, oh. So like all those Tomoyo vibes I was getting in Card Captors, they were really there.
Yes.
Anyway, um but yeah, speaking of which, Cardcaptor got some good movies. I watched them both. If there's probably more than two, but
No,
I
there
watched
were
the
only the
older
two.
two. Oh, okay. I watched the two that they came before the recent series, right?
Yeah,
I'm still confused on where that recent series, if it's a redo or a
it's a
continuation. I
sequel,
think you said,
Manual.
yeah, I think you said it was a continuation. No one said otherwise. I'm just saying I have not looked it up. I just know what you said.
Like Manual, if you read the last page of the manga or the original manga, and then read the first page of the new manga, I believe they start on the exact same scene,
Oh,
or it starts on the exact same scene where the original manga ends.
there's like a decade or two between them.
Yeah, it's called comic book time, Manual. Look it up.
Sakura is an old woman now. Well, she's not old.
No, but the
Anyway,
technology somehow advanced 20
I know.
years.
Like Tomio has like she has a YouTube channel. I don't know if that's true.
No, not in the
I'm
anime
just
at least. I think she
she
just
has a TikTok.
switched to a bit more modern camcorder.
Anyway, um, I guess we wrap it up. Last movie you want to talk about before we wrap it up?
No, actually, I don't know if you got something. Actually, the only other
Yeah,
thing, like I was going to bring up another franchise movie, but I think we're done with that.
yeah. I do want to bring up a couple. One of my favorite movies that I actually want to talk about, my shorter anime one, and I think I mentioned it in my fast thingies. I was a huge fan of the Escaflowne movie. Um, when I was younger, first of all, by the way, fun fact: when I used to like the Escaflowne TV show,
It's a good
I,
show.
I remember like, huh?
It's a good show.
Yeah, I liked it, but I remember, and that one also had a weird English adaptation, which I never saw, but apparently it had a weird one where they like recut shit and move things. But I remember telling a friend of mine, a geek, it was only a little older than me, but I remember telling my local anime nerd friend that I liked this show called Escalaflone, and uh, mind you, it is my own fault because it's not like that name is not used in the show, so that was just me misspeaking. But I'll never forget. He's like, actually, it's Esclaflone. You're not even a real fan. And when and I'm not exaggerating, like that exact phrase was thrown at me, and I was like, wow, what the fuck? First of all, I casually watched a few episodes at that point because I was like in high school and I didn't really own it yet. So I just had a friend of mine was watching it, and I saw like 4 episodes at their house. But the movie came out, and I remember I did own the movie. It was one of the first DVDs I bought, and I watched it. I think they pushed that movie hard in the US. Like it was an Anime Expo, I think 2003 or four, the first one I went to. The the person who does the theme song, so I think is the voice actress for
Yeah, it's Maya Sakamoto.
yeah, she did a concert. Not a concert because they AX didn't do concerts back then, but she did a panel where she performed the movie song before the movie was shown. I guess it's just a premiere, but it was at Anime Expo. But like this is before they had theater, so just in the fucking a room in the Marriott, and
Oh yeah, that's before they had the convention or like all that space in the convention center
yeah.
because that's where I saw like the premiere of Promare and JoJo Part 5, and it's like that room was packed, and that's like a full like conference center room.
But I remember like I remember they pushed that movie big, and I'll never forget that song. The song is called Yubiwa, and I think they even did the English version, and she did the English version, so it's not like a dub thing. And it was called Ring, which is Yubiwa translated.
Yeah.
But I remember I'll, I'll never forget. It's almost like weirdly reverse gatekeeping. A couple years after the movie came out, there was this one girl that I was like newly getting with. Like I don't even remember if we were fully boyfriend or girlfriend at this point yet. But at one point, she was humming the song, and I was like flashing back to that movie I'd seen a few times, and I really loved it. And I was like, is that Yubiwa from Escalaflone, the movie?" And she's like, "Oh, you know it." I don't like the song anymore. Like, what the fuck?
Hey, sometimes you just have a song you don't like that gets stuck in your head.
But anyways, that's my Escalaflone story. It's a great movie. Everyone should watch it. It is a recap movie, but it's one of those recap movies where it's like
I don't.
they, huh?
I don't know if it counts as a recap movie. I feel like it changes way too much.
I was gonna say because it basically takes like the core plot of what the show is reaching towards, but then gets rid of all the middle, like all of it. So I guess it's not a recap movie, but like
A reinterpretation.
also like
Oh, that's what I was going to say, Manuel. When you talked about how Perfect Blue isn't really a good adaptation of the novels, like, have you ever seen anything by Miyazaki that adapted the original work? It's basically lightly inspired by that, and they just ran with it. Same thing for Alfred Hitchcock.
oh yeah, uh, Psycho. Anyone? Very famously, the sequel to Psycho, the book, because it was based on a book, by the way. The sequel to Psycho, is a movie where Norman Bates goes to Hollywood. It was meant to spoof the fact that Alfred Hitchcock like changed his book so much.
Actually,
But
like, Howl's Moving Castle barely resembles the book in some of the basic elements, but changes them all up for Miyazaki's kind of worldview. It's not like anti-war; it's more just a general like pastiche of fairy tales.
well, I don't know if this is a hot take to have, but the Nausicaa manga bored the fuck out of me. But it was very similar to Akira in that like it was long, and there were like 7 book-sized volumes, or maybe even more than that. But I think it was 7, so it was very similar in length to the Akira manga. So I assume that also just did not adapt
Uh,
that.
I don't think a lot of it was written at the time when he actually made the movie.
Oh, see, he's just as bad as Roger Corman in Warriors of the Wind. Anyway,
Yeah, how could the guy who created the series not have written the rest of it while he was trying to adapt it?
Manuel just got some horrible hot takes.
Yeah,
I
Daniel,
still,
that's nothing
I
new.
still say,
I've known
I
you for
still say
what,
that
3 years now?
everyone needs to go watch Dragon Ball Evolution movie. And this is not a joke. This is not me doing a bit. This is not me trying to be cool by saying I like something that no one else likes. I watched it on my own, thought it was a good movie, went years thinking it was an okay movie, opened my mouth and realized that no one liked it. I didn't know for years. That's the funny thing. And then I honestly, and I've said this before, I don't care what anyone says, and I think you're included. Um, no one has seen that movie. So you have no right to talk about it until you do. If you do, then I'll agree. If you hate it, then come at me. But until you've seen it, don't say you don't like it. Because no one I've talked to, not a single person I know has seen the movie. Not one, except for me. And I've seen it several times. Anyways, see, you haven't seen it either, JD. So you start, and you have to agree that that's a fair thing to say. If you haven't seen it, don't say you don't like it, right?
Uh, you know what, Manuel, just for the sake of closing up this podcast. Okay, Manuel, let's wrap
Anyways,
up. What else is happening?
that's it. I'm gonna put I'm gonna put my digital copy, and I actually have one legally that I got through like the Sony DVD I bought ages ago. I'm gonna get my digital copy of Dragon Ball Evolution, put it on my laptop, and we're gonna watch it at Fanime because
Oh,
Fanime is
phew.
coming up.
You said Fanime,
Oh,
not Anime Expo.
I'll leave it on. Just kidding. But no, Fanime is coming up is on Wednesday. Unfortunately, no, tomorrow's Wednesday. It's on Thursday. I'm leaving. I'm leaving day after tomorrow. Actually, I might be leaving tomorrow. I don't remember exactly, but I'm leaving soon. We're doing 4 panels there. There's Magical Girls. There's 2 music ones, and we're doing the JAV panel. Come to all of them. Unfortunately, if you're watching this on YouTube, Fanime has probably already happened. Oops. But come next year. It's great con. And because of Fanime, I will be there. So will Andrew. Will be there from Drink Talk Roll. So Drink Talk Roll is not happening Friday. But we've already talked the schedule out. We're gonna do 2 episodes at the start of June to make up for it. So the next DTR is Friday, June 2nd, and then Friday, June 9th. And then we're back to 2 weeks. But UPZ isn't stopping. Next UPZ is the 30th.
Yes, the 30th. And I'm taking over as host. Yay, it's going to be another game show episode with 2 sets of my friends. So we'll see which couple knows more about anime.
Oh yeah, and then we have 4 weeks of June where we're going to have a bunch of episodes.
But then we'll be off for the start of July.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I looked forward. I'm like, I have a feeling from doing my math in my head's right, and it was. I'm like, Tuesday, the July is gonna be a holiday, but that's it. That's a schedule. Watch all the movies. Watch Dragon Ball Evolution. I'm pretty sure you could, even if you don't want to go like buy it digitally. I think the DVD cost a penny on Amazon.
Because nobody wants it because it's a bad movie manual.
I think I paid I'm not even joking. I think the copy I bought, and it's probably should have told me that it wasn't a good movie. I bought it for like like $2 at like a warehouse or Tower Records, like when I was young. If I should have alerted me that no one else would like it. But that DVD came with a ton of shit, like a ton of special features. Like they tried. Anyways. Peace out. Love you all. Thanks for watching. Peace out. Peace out. Peace out. Support us on Patreon. Shout out to Ed. Shout out to Ed. I'm seeing him this weekend too, so I'm gonna go say hi to him. And yeah, peace out. Thank you for watching.
Bye, everybody, and cut.